Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a tectonic shift in the tech landscape.
A really massive one, yeah.
Yeah, something that is fundamentally altering how you, me, and entire industries are going to operate. We are talking about Meta's staggering acquisition of an AI startup called Manus.
Right.
This deal just closed a couple of months ago, back in December of 2025. And the price tag was, it was north of $2 billion.
Which is an astronomical valuation for a company that practically did not exist a year prior.
Exactly.
But when you look at the underlying capability they have built, I mean, the valuation starts to make a lot of economic sense.
And that is precisely what we're going to figure out today. We have gathered a heavyweight stack of sources for you, pulling from recent financial reports, deep tech industry analysis, and some really rigorous academic studies.
Heavy hitters.
Oh, absolutely. We've got MIT Sloan, UC Berkeley, the Boston Consulting Group, and Science Direct. Our mission for this deep dive is to determine if this $2 billion check is a genuine masterstroke. Like, will it revolutionize human-computer interaction? Or is it just another overhyped Silicon Valley acquisition destined to quietly write down his losses in a few years?
Right. And to accurately evaluate this deal, we really need to bypass the superficial AI hype. We need to look at the technical leap Manus represents.
Because it is a leap.
It really is. I mean, our listeners are already well-versed in conversational AI, models that parse natural language and return text or code. But those systems are inherently passive.
They wait for you.
Exactly. They require you, the human, to act as the orchestrator. You ask for code, you take the code, you debug it, you paste it into your IDE, push it to the repository. Manus represents the leap into what the industry defines as agentic AI.
Which means we are moving from generation to execution.
Precisely. An agentic AI is autonomous. You provide a high-level objective, and the agent navigates your digital ecosystem to achieve it.
It actually does the work.
It does. It possesses the necessary permissions to read and write within your local environment. It manages multi-step API calls, handles authentication tokens, and this is the key part. It corrects its own errors in real time without human intervention.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the financial timeline of this startup is almost unbelievable to me.
Very fast.
So fast. According to the financial reports in our sources, Manus officially launched in March of 2025. By December, just 9 months later, they had hit over $125 million in annualized recurring revenue.
Which is just wild.
I have to pause there, because in the traditional SaaS world, hitting $100 million in ARR usually takes the best companies almost a decade.
Right.
How on earth does a 9-month-old startup convince enterprise clients to hand over that kind of cash so quickly?
It comes down to how they are pricing the utility. They aren't selling a software subscription. They are essentially selling digital labor.
Yeah.
If you deploy a general-purpose agent that seamlessly integrates with enterprise tools like your Slack, your email client, your CRM, it removes the friction of execution. It can independently conduct market research, synthesize the data, generate a slide deck, and distribute it to stakeholders.
Like having a digital butler.
Exactly. Companies aren't comparing the cost of Manus to a software license. They are comparing it to the cost of human hours.
That context makes the rapid revenue growth much more logical. But the underlying technology is really only one piece of the puzzle here. The geopolitical origin story of Manus adds a completely different dimension to this acquisition.
It certainly does. Manus was originally founded in China, operating under the name Butterfly Effect.
Okay.
And it was also recognized in certain developer circles as Monica.im. The company was spearheaded by CEO Xiao Hong.
Wait, if the company was founded in China, how did Meta manage to acquire them?
It's a great question.
I mean, Meta is an American tech giant facing immense regulatory scrutiny. How did they pull this off, given the current geopolitical climate?
Through a highly deliberate strategic restructuring, Xiao Hong and the leadership team recognized that an American buyout would be a regulatory nightmare if they remained in China.
Right, obviously.
So they executed a comprehensive relocation to Singapore. They intentionally severed and scrubbed their Chinese operations to present themselves as a neutral international entity.
But you can't just erase that kind of foundational footprint overnight, can you? Our sources mention that despite the move to Singapore, the Chinese government is currently investigating this acquisition.
That is correct. Chinese regulators are scrutinizing the deal for potential tech export violations.
Based on the original IP.
Exactly. The core of their argument is that the foundational IP and the underlying algorithmic architecture were developed within Chinese jurisdiction. Therefore, transferring that technology to an American corporation, even via a Singaporean proxy, might violate China's strict export controls on advanced artificial intelligence.
It adds an undeniable layer of international tension to a corporate buyout. But let's shift focus to the buyer for a second. Yeah. Why is Mark Zuckerberg willing to navigate international investigations and write a $2 billion check for this specific startup?
What's fascinating here is that this acquisition does not exist in a vacuum. If we look at Meta's broader strategy over the last 12 months, this is the capstone of a remarkably aggressive AI arms race.
They've been busy.
Very. Earlier in 2025, Meta made a $14.3 billion investment in Scale AI. That secures the massive data labeling infrastructure required to train these agents. They also acquired Limitless, a startup specializing in AI wearables.
So they are building a vertically integrated ecosystem.
Precisely.
Scale AI provides the training data. Limitless provides the hardware interface, like smart glasses or pendants to capture context. And now, Manus provides the autonomous execution engine.
It is a holy trinity of data, interface, and execution. And the industry analysis in our stack highlights that Manus was not the only agent on the market. OpenAI has been heavily pushing their deep research agent.
Right, we've seen a lot about that.
But Manus consistently outperformed competitors in practical utility benchmarks. While other agents often get trapped in endless browsing loops or stumble over complex software authentication, Manus proved remarkably resilient. It gracefully handled errors and completed multi-step enterprise workflows.
So Meta's master plan is to maintain Manus as an independent entity operating out of Singapore.
To mitigate those geopolitical hurdles, yes.
Right, while simultaneously integrating its capabilities into Meta AI and Facebook business. They intend to scale this autonomous execution to billions of users.
Which brings us to the operational reality. Scaling this technology means the fundamental mechanics of our daily work are about to change.
Let's dive right into that. For you, the listener, what is the actual paradigm shift here? Because an investment of this magnitude assumes a complete disruption of how business is conducted.
To understand the workplace impact, we can rely on a framework developed by the Boston Consulting Group, or BCG. They have been tracking early deployments of agentic AI and categorize the impact into 3 distinct areas.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first is standard process automation. This goes far beyond basic macros. This is the autonomous execution of repetitive, high-friction tasks. And the data from MIT Sloan is quite profound here.
What did they find?
They tracked enterprise deployments and found that utilizing agentic AI for standard process automation reduces human error by 50%.
A 50% reduction in human error is incredible. We're going to talk about data entry mistakes, financial reconciliation errors, things like that.
Yes, typographical errors, transposition mistakes, fatigue-induced oversights. An autonomous agent doesn't experience cognitive decline after staring at a spreadsheet for 6 hours.
That makes total sense.
The second area BCG identifies is human-AI collaboration. In this phase, the AI elevates from a tool to a strategic partner. You aren't just offloading grunt work, you are collaborating on complex problem solving.
So the AI is actually brainstorming with you.
In a way, yes. And UC Berkeley studies demonstrate that this specific tier of collaboration improves overall workplace productivity by 15 to 20%.
That is a tremendous efficiency gain. And that leads to the third area from the BCG framework, which is data insights. This involves an agent analyzing vast, overwhelming streams of information to identify actionable patterns that human analysts simply cannot process quickly enough.
The real-world example detailed in our sources illustrates this perfectly. Consider an AI agent deployed within a marketing infrastructure. It is plugged directly into Instagram's data fire hose, monitoring user engagement metrics in real time.
Okay.
The agent autonomously adjusts budget allocations, shifts ad creative, and optimizes targeting parameters millisecond by millisecond. According to BCG's findings, this level of autonomous reactionary optimization is reducing digital advertising costs by 20 to 30%.
Because it is reacting to market signals at machine speed. It's completely bypassing the human bottleneck of, say, weekly marketing review meetings.
Exactly. Which leads us to a concept coined by researchers at UC Berkeley, the agentic company.
That sounds like a sci-fi corporation. What does an agentic company actually look like in practice?
UC Berkeley defines an agentic company as an organization that deploys autonomous agents to fully automate its routine operational decisions. By doing so, they drastically lower overhead and operational friction. This enables what economists call long-tail business models to flourish across virtually any industry.
Let's clarify long tail for a moment. That generally refers to selling low volumes of many different, highly niche items, right?
Yes.
Traditionally, that's unprofitable because the administrative cost of managing thousands of niche products outweighs the revenue.
The human overhead kills the profit margin. But when an agentic AI manages the supply chain, customer service, and inventory reconciliation for near zero marginal cost, those niche markets suddenly become highly profitable.
The sources use a rather vivid analogy to illustrate this decoupling of human time from business execution.
The salsa dancing one.
Yes. They propose imagining you own a boutique retail business. You are out on a Friday night dancing salsa, completely disconnected from your phone.
Sounds ideal.
Right. Meanwhile, your AI agent is autonomously monitoring a supply chain disruption. It's renegotiating a shipping rate with a vendor and updating your e-commerce storefront. The business operates and optimizes itself while you are on the dance floor.
It is a total paradigm shift in resource allocation, but it is crucial to recognize that this extends far beyond corporate efficiency and ad spend.
Where else are we seeing it?
The data from Science Direct indicates that agentic AI is poised to deeply reshape sectors like higher education, particularly regarding talent development and institutional administration.
The educational applications outlined in the stack are fascinating. A recent Forbes study caught my eye regarding the massive administrative bloat in universities.
It's a huge problem.
It is. But when institutions deploy AI agents to handle things like complex scheduling conflicts, prerequisite verification, and financial aid processing tasks that traditionally create immense friction for students, it actually improves overall student retention by 3%.
In the context of higher education, a 3% retention improvement is monumental. That translates to thousands of students successfully completing their degrees simply because an autonomous system removed the bureaucratic hurdles that typically cause them to drop out.
And on the instructional side, the University of Michigan is already pioneering this.
Yeah.
They are utilizing a Gemini-based AI agent to transform how students learn finance.
Really changing the classroom dynamic.
Completely.
Yeah.
Instead of a static curriculum, the agent acts as a personalized autonomous tutor. It identifies specific conceptual gaps for each individual student and dynamically generates practice scenarios to address those weaknesses. It is a highly customized approach to talent development.
It paints a picture of a remarkably seamless, hyper-efficient future.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You cannot introduce a technology with this level of disruptive potential without generating significant friction.
Of course not.
We have to examine the dark side of this acquisition, the inherent risks, and the aggressive competition that Meta is up against.
The most immediate and glaring vulnerability Meta faces right now, just months post-acquisition, is a severe trust deficit among enterprise users.
It is essentially the fear of a Cambridge Analytica 2.0. The reports show that several high-profile enterprise clients are actively fleeing Manus. They acknowledge the superiority of the technology, but they are terrified at the prospect of granting Meta access to their most sensitive corporate data.
And that fear is structurally justified. For an agentic AI to function effectively, it requires the proverbial keys to the kingdom.
It needs to see everything.
It needs read and write access to internal servers, proprietary databases, and private communication channels. Many executives look at Meta's historical track record regarding consumer data privacy and flatly refuse to integrate that ecosystem into their corporate infrastructure.
It poses a severe existential threat to the acquisition's long-term viability.
Mhm.
And beyond user trust, there are immense internal hurdles. Industry analysts, including a specific prediction coming out of NVIDIA, warn that the integration process itself is a massive risk.
NVIDIA's analysts pointed out that bringing Manus inside a trillion-dollar corporate structure could be disastrous if mismanaged.
How so?
Well, startup agility is fueled by rapid iteration and breaking things. Meta is bound by intense compliance reviews, bureaucratic red tape, and legacy security protocols. If Meta's internal friction crushes the agile culture that allowed Manus to innovate in the first place, NVIDIA predicts it could literally cost Meta billions in lost potential.
And Meta does not have the luxury of a slow, careful integration period. They are currently locked in a cutthroat multi-agent race.
The competition is fierce.
While Meta was finalizing the Manus deal, OpenAI quietly acquired a startup called OpenClaw, which specializes in similar autonomous computer use capabilities. Anthropic, the team behind Claude, is aggressively expanding their own agentic frameworks. If Meta stumbles during this integration phase, OpenAI or Anthropic will immediately capture the enterprise market.
This raises an important question, though. One that extends far beyond which technology conglomerate captures market share. We have to confront the ethical and labor implications of a global economy driven by agentic AI.
Let's pull from the Science Direct review again, because they address the reality of job displacement without sugarcoating it. When a single autonomous agent can effectively manage the workflow of 3 junior analysts, the demand for those entry-level knowledge worker roles is going to plummet.
The math is undeniable.
The research highlights an urgent, verified need for comprehensive workforce reskilling. This is not a theoretical problem for the next decade. The transition is happening right now.
And alongside the employment shift, there is a profound operational challenge that researchers at UC Berkeley have termed escalabilidad ética, which translates to ethical scalability.
How does ethical scalability differ from the standard algorithmic bias we've been hearing about for years?
It is a matter of autonomous amplification. If a human manager possesses a subtle, unconscious bias when screening resumes or negotiating with vendors, the negative impact is relatively localized.
It affects one department, maybe.
Right. But when you deploy an autonomous agent at Meta's proposed scale, processing millions of decisions globally, every second, a 1% algorithmic bias mathematically reshapes global supply chains or hiring demographics almost instantly. Engineering these autonomous systems to remain demonstrably fair and unbiased at a global scale is arguably the most complex technical hurdle they face.
It's the difference between a single faulty compass and an entire global fleet of ships simultaneously adjusting their coordinates based on a systemic navigational error.
That's a great way to put it.
The speed and scale of the execution make the underlying risk exponentially higher.
Precisely. The autonomous capability is remarkably powerful, but if the ethical and operational safeguards are not equally robust, the resultant damage scales just as rapidly as the economic productivity.
So what does this all mean? We have covered extensive ground today. We've examined 9-month unicorn valuations, the geopolitical complexities of tech exports, autonomous corporate structures, and the very real threats of globally scaled algorithmic bias.
We really went deep.
We did. The core takeaway for you listening today is that the professional landscape is definitively transitioning from generative assistance to autonomous execution. We are moving from software that helps you draft an email to systems that actively manage entire departments.
It's a new world.
For Meta, this $2 billion acquisition provides them with unprecedented execution capabilities in the ongoing AI arms race. For Manus, it grants them the vast infrastructural resources needed to scale their vision globally. But for you are stepping into an era where efficiency will skyrocket, and the barrier to executing complex digital workflows will drop to near zero. Assuming, of course, that the industry can successfully navigate the profound privacy and ethical challenges we've discussed.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this acquisition represents much more than a transfer of corporate assets. It signifies a fundamental rewiring of human-computer interaction. We are entering an economic era where the machine is no longer merely a passive tool we utilize. It is becoming an active, autonomous participant in our global economy.
I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It is an incredibly dynamic time to be analyzing the tech industry, and we appreciate you exploring these complex sources with us. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We have spent this time discussing agents taking over the analytical heavy lifting, synthesizing data, writing code, executing logistics. If we are entering an era where Meta's agents are actively negotiating, researching, and collaborating with OpenAI's agents on our behalf, what happens to the human skill of intuition?
Oh, wow.
Right. If the algorithms are handling all logical processing and execution, perhaps the most valuable trait of the future won't be intelligence at all, but imagination. Something to think about next time you let an agent optimize your workflow. See you next time.